Regional Business Partnerships eye-opener on building housing and community in Newark's South Ward. I'm delighted to welcome you all this morning, and we have a really, really terrific program for you. Special thanks to our series sponsor, RWJBarnabas Health and Newark Beth Israel Medical Center and Children's Hospital of New Jersey. Without their strong support, we would not be able to offer this series of very excellent programs. We're also grateful to today's event sponsor, MZM Construction and Management. March Perry is not only a leader in the community, but has been a very, very strong board member for NRBP over a number of years and a wonderful champion for NRBP. So we're grateful to Marge both for her support for today and also for her contribution to the content of today's program. Our supporting organization is Regional Plan Association, and we very much appreciate Regional Plan's help in promoting this event. Just a quick word about coming events. We have two that are scheduled. On November 23rd, we're doing our annual Transportation Awards. This is an opportunity to salute people who work behind the scenes in the transportation industry, who help to keep the rails and roads and airports running. Very, very important people to us. We may not be taking full advantage of mass transit right now, but we wanted to be there as we emerge, and we wanted to be running as well as possible. So it's a chance to salute them. We also will hear from the DOT Commissioner, Diane Gutierrez-Sicchetti. That should be very interesting about what the plans are from DOT. That's on November 23rd at 10 a.m. So we hope that you will all join us and that you will help to share that as well. On December 9th, we're having our rescheduled Partners Gala and our annual holiday event. We had hoped to be able to do this in person, but the situation dictates that we continue to offer our programming completely online. So stay tuned for more news about that. And we're going to be having an earlier time schedule than we normally do for our holiday event, but watch your email for additional details on how that program will run and what will evolve there. Then I just want to say thank you to Maya Curry, who has been instrumental in getting everything set up for today, and we're very grateful for all of her work at NRBP and what she did for today's program. Now moving into the format very quickly. All of you in the audience will be off screen and muted for the duration of the program. If there is time, you can pose a question in the questions box. I suspect that you may not be able to get to the questions, but if there are any afterwards, we'll follow up and connect you to the appropriate speaker if we don't get to answer something that you'd like to know. We will be following up with a thank you note, and in that thank you note, we'll indicate if the presentations are available or not. We have to check that with the speakers, and we'll be announcing that in the thank you note. We also ask you to take our survey. It's really helpful to us to know your ideas on programs that you'd like us to offer, so please be sure to respond to that survey. There'll also be a chat box where Maya will post any references or information that you might want to know. Check that chat box for links, etc. Now moving to today's program, we're really, really happy to be able to offer this. We see this as a corollary to the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion series that we just did, where we touched on different aspects of racial and economic inequities. And without question, housing is a critical element as a social determinant of health. It's something that RWJBarnabas Health has been a leader in bringing this to the fore, not only bringing the issue to the fore, but also doing something about it. It goes well beyond housing to healthy food, access to healthy food, community gardens, access to quality health care, and all of those things are delivered by RWJBarnabas. We're very proud to be able to work with the entire system, but particularly our former chair, Terry Sr., who is the CEO of Newark Beth Israel Medical Center. And we are very excited that Darryl is going to share with us a window into the recently announced changes at the hospital. And I'll turn to Darryl in just a moment. Lastly, I want to express my great thanks to Allison Ladd, not only for her leadership in the department, but also for her help to recruit today's speakers, and for the leadership of her and the entire team under Mayor Baraka for establishing a blueprint for neighborhood transformation. This is a window into all the things that the city is doing. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Darryl with great thanks. I will have my camera off for the duration of the presentations, and Allison, if you want to pause at a point in your questions, I can check to see if any audience members have posed a question. Thank you very much.
Hi, good morning, and thank you, Barbara. This is a very exciting time to be in the South Ward. Also, notwithstanding the pandemic that we're in, there's a lot of exciting things happening here. In particular, I'm excited to talk about the social determinants of health, and really thrilled with the leadership of Micheline Davis and my colleague Deanna Minus-Benson, who's on today. Great work being done, not only in Newark, but throughout the system on the social determinants of health. As many of you know, Newark Beth Israel was sort of ahead of the curve on addressing the social determinants of health. We've had a greenhouse for a number of years now. We've had farmers market, and recently we're starting to work on affordable housing under Deanna's leadership that we're extremely excited about. But today I want to talk about a project that's near and dear to my heart. As many of you know, I grew up in this neighborhood. Not only was I born at Newark Beth Israel, but I grew up in this neighborhood. And I remember as a child walking down to Weequahic Park and walking past this building, and it looks kind of like a fortress, not knowing what was going on inside there as a kid. I know there's a lot of great work going on, the great Dr. Victor Parsonet and the great work that he was doing, great clinical work, but the connection to the community didn't come to many years later. And I am really humbled to be leading this institution at this time where we're investing $100 million into the South Ward. We are going to change the face of Newark Beth Israel dramatically. It will be glass, 17,000 new square footage of glass, transparency, natural lighting, and just an opening, welcoming feel to our community. Over the years, we have done many internal renovations that impacted certain departments, but never was there that relationship with the community that we're about to see. So last month we broke ground on it, and we expect the external piece to be done within the next 12 to 14 months. And then the rest of the project, which includes a brand new ICU, it includes all private maternity ward, which is ready now. Also an expanded emergency department, and it's sort of the front door is now back on Lyons Avenue, connecting directly with the community that we're honored to serve. So we're going to use this $100 million wisely. We are investing in local and minority-owned businesses. We're making sure that this spend really benefits the community that we serve. I want to show you guys a quick rendering of what it's going to look like. Oh. Can you see it?
Yeah.
All right.
Beautiful.
It will transform this campus, and we're really hopeful that it will spur economic investment in this area to an even larger degree. So we are excited to be the anchor institution in the South Ward. And we're really good. We take this as a real responsibility, not just something that we say. And it's a pleasure to be able to make a difference in the lives of the community that we serve. Thank you, Barbara, Chip, for your time. And I will turn it back over to whomever is next.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thanks, Daryl, so much for joining us this morning. It's a true pleasure and honor for me to be on the same Zoom screen with you. I'm really excited about what's happening with Beth Israel Hospital and RWJBarnabas and our South Ward. So looking forward to seeing more of the great work that you're leading along with your team. And thank you for your commitment to the city of Newark. Really glad to see you today. For all those that may not know me, I am Allison Ladd. I am the Deputy Mayor for Economic and Housing Development here in the city of Newark for Mayor Baraka. It's my pleasure to welcome you again to this exciting session. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited about what we're going to talk about today. Housing that's affordable for our residents, community development that's happening in all parts of our city in an equitable way, and finding ways to let our Newark residents and people who have been here for generation after generation stay in our city. It's critically important for us to work together through public-private partnerships to be able to make this happen. And the panelists and the speakers today, I think you're going to be impressed by, and I know that you're going to learn something from each of them. You know, our South Ward is one of 5 wards throughout the city. It has great community assets, be it the hospital to Weequahic Park to not being far from the airport and even our port. So there's so much that we have to offer in our South Ward. But in addition, we have great assets around residential development, creating mixed income communities and housing for our seniors. So today you will hear from a phenomenal list of speakers, all who I'm so glad they said that they wanted to participate with us today. And just again, honored to be with you all. So thank you for joining us. As we get started, because I know you want to hear from everybody who's on this panel, just wanted to extend my appreciation also to Barbara and Chip for always looking to the city of Newark as a partner and someone who can help us expand the educational platform for everybody. So people know what we're trying to accomplish here in the city, but also that we need partnership to make it happen. So I'm excited. It's going to be a great session and looking forward to hearing from the panelists. So let's get started. Today you'll hear from people who are going to talk about artist housing, others that are talking about senior housing, some that talks about healthy housing, and even more on rental housing. So, but you're going to hear from this group of panelists. And so again, enough from me. Let's get started with Marjorie Perry and Roger Johnson, who are going to tell you more about 505 Clinton, right in the heart of the South Ward. So Marjorie, Roger, please take it away.
Good morning, everyone. And Allison, thank you very much. Chip, Darryl, you know I'm a Beth Israel girl as well, born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. And Barbara for always reaching and reminding people how valuable the real estate and the life that we have here in Newark is growing and flourishing, you know, 150%. I have been honored and awarded the build out for 505 Clinton Avenue, which is going to be a tremendous mixed-use property right on Clinton Avenue, where I used to walk all the time. And so for me to remember, that was an actual bank back in the day that my mom and I used to go to, and now to be transforming into a rich life building that's going to have the arts on the first floor, mixed use on the first floor, and then 27 units there. Let me just tell you my part about this. One, I'm honored to be able to bring my heavy commercial construction skills to the table to be able to do a project like this. Everyone talks about the spend in Newark or to work with local businesses, but sometimes that doesn't always happen. 505, I can say, clearly has happened. And it has happened at Beth Israel. We just finished the OBGYN clinic at Beth Israel Hospital as well. So the leaders that are on the phone today are not just talking the talk, they're actually walking the talk And we have an honor of having 2 women of color that work on this project that are carpenters. So I'm really proud about that. And we get to actually show you what a local business can do if there's support behind them. I've been in construction 28 years. I am an engineer. I graduated from NJIT. So if you really get behind a project like this and really put the resources behind it, you can absolutely keep economic empowerment right here within our cities for the businesses that need to grow and flourish. But you have to have it from the top in the leadership. And we have that in Mayor Baraka and other leaders like Darryl Terry to make this happen. So there's not much more I can say about it. Roger's going to talk a little bit more in depth about why the mayor and the city has decided to build this out, this historic bank. I don't know if my money is still in there. I used to have a little Christmas club there, but they probably gave that away to somebody. So, but at the end of the day, I'm honored to be a part of this project. Hopefully the transformation will be just tremendous on Clinton Avenue. So thank you very much for having me today.
Awesome, Marjorie. Hello, everyone. My name is Roger Johnson with Invest Newark. Marjorie said a lot of great things about the project. 505 Clinton Avenue has been a joy working with her and MZM as we near the finish line for completion of the project here. I'm not sure if everyone can see my screen. Currently, what we're showing here is a rendering of what the bank will end up looking like once it completes in first quarter of 2021. This project, for those that are from Newark, has a long history. As Marjorie said, the building is a staple in the Clinton Hill district. And for the past 5 years, this project has been, in certain stages. And now we're nearing the finish line, and everyone is very excited of what this building is going to bring to the community, not only Clinton Hill itself, but Newark as a whole. So what I have here is a few slides just to show, what the progress of the building has been over the past, 3 to 4 years. I've been with Invest Newark for about a year and a half. And when I came onto the organization, the project was kind of sitting, kind of stale, not really moving. Actually, when I started, the project didn't have permits yet. And you can see here in this slide that the building was sitting here, boarded up, vacant, not in use, kind of an eyesore, actually a really huge eyesore for the community. And so the building progressed, and they provided plans to transform this building into a artist co-op apartment building. And so the plans were developed, the design was developed, and it was approved by the city council. And so they moved forward with demolishing the building. And that's where I came in, starting with Invest Newark. This shot here is from June of 2019. Basically, the full building, except for the facade, was removed. The steel members in the front were installed to hold the facade up, as they wanted to keep this historic facade of the building and have that be part of the new design of the building. And the demo actually took place in between 2016, 2017, and the project actually sat like this for about 3 years. So as I joined Invest Newark and found out that the project didn't have permits, we worked diligently to get all the approvals from the city, from the building department, so that way we can actually make this project happen. And fast forward a little bit further into the fall of 2019, we received permits and we were able to start construction of the building. As of today, all 4 floors are framed out. The roof is on. This picture here, November 5th last week. And we are moving through, with all the trades working, and just totally like, going full speed at the, for the completion of the building, looking to, you know, take the project and basically open this this building up at the first quarter of 2021, and have basically the connection with the community and the artist community that was the original intent and the vision of the project. So you can see here a few shots. And so the next step in the project is to actually remove the steel members that are holding the facade in the front. That's going to be a huge milestone for the project, because this has really been an eyesore to have this steel holding up the front of the facade. And so once that comes down within the next couple of weeks, everyone, in the community has been, talking to me when I go to my site visits, asking me, when the building's going to be complete. And, when I tell them that the steel is going to be coming down soon, they actually are very excited about that, because they've been tired of looking at this, the steel holding up the facade for, all these years. I just encourage them to, to have faith, even though it's taken a long time to get to this point and to reach the finish line, to just have faith, in the city that they live in, to, know that we are moving forward and we're pushing this project forward, as well as projects, in the future to come. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thanks, Roger and Marjorie, for that great presentation and really pictorial view of what's happening right on Clinton Avenue. I mean, I know I was just there a few weeks ago, and there's a lot happening and so much more to come. So for those viewers out there that may not remember what exactly the design is for Clinton and this great project, it's for artist housing, if I remember correctly. So, that's a great testament to what we're trying to do here in the city about being inclusive and providing options for everybody who wants to call Newark home. If you're in the artist and cultural community, we want you to be here with us. We all know our mayor is an artist himself. And so you can catch him, I think, on a few different platforms, whether it's poetry, and I think he even rapped recently. So it's pretty fun to see how we are all looking to make Newark something that we can see all of our assets. And so we're just delighted. And, forgive me, I feel a little bit like we're at home because, we're talking with everybody and we know each other so well, but forgive me for not introducing you properly. Marjorie Perry is with her own company that does construction throughout the city. And, we can't do our work without leaders like Marjorie and the work that she does at MZM Construction. So thanks, Marjorie, for not only being a sponsor of this session, but also for being a leader in our city. And Roger Johnson is with Invest Newark, our economic development corporation here in the city. And the city and Invest Newark work hand in hand to ensure that we have all different types of development opportunities throughout the city, including this really exciting one for artist housing. So thank you both for being with us this morning. I'm sure there'll be a question or two at some point, and just really glad you could join us. So as we move on, let's move to Deanna Myers-Vincent. So Deanna, it's just great to have you here today with us. I know there's a lot happening with RWJBarnabas, whether it's around Bergen, Lions corridors, or even with the hospital, but really also related to your work generating social equity ideas and inclusion, and really being a leader in that front. So we're delighted that you're here with us today. Please share with us your remarks and your thoughts about housing and community development in our South Ward. So thanks again for being with us.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. And while I am not a native, I'm not from Newark natively, but you have really welcomed me in and I feel right at home. So thank you. As Mr. Terry indicated, we are doing so much in the South Ward as it relates to housing as well as social determinants of health. And Newark Beth Israel has truly been an anchor in the South Ward. As far as housing is concerned, we have two major projects in the South Ward. The first is with New Jersey Community Capital as the lead, and it's with the Family Village. It's a scattered site project. We have taken 55 units of housing, so housing that needed rehabilitation, and turned it into 100 units of affordable housing, some of which are offer home ownership opportunities for individuals, which we are extremely proud of, because we know that that offers wealth building opportunities for individuals that really helps along the path to equity. The other is a project that we're also really excited about. It is a piece of the HMFA housing and in healthcare pilot opportunity, and it's right on Bergen. It's 979 to 991 Bergen Street, and it will be a 70-unit affordable housing project where we will have 10 to 15 units set aside for high utilizers of the emergency department. And I should have said that both projects, we aim to really work with our partners to identify individuals who are really in need. They're at risk for homelessness and are high utilizers of our healthcare system. Because we know that while housing today really helps individuals, it goes beyond that. So it will help their health outcomes today, but we know that for individuals who are housed, it will help with food insecurity, which we know will have long-term outcomes. It will help with obesity, which then will help with diabetes and heart disease and stroke. And we also know that for children, it will improve their educational outcomes. They will have better earning potential in the future, which we know will also improve health equity along their life path. So for all of those reasons, we're really excited to be in the housing space. We are also moving towards a social determinants of health screening project. So for eventually all of our patients that come into any RWJBarnabas Health clinical setting, they will be screened for their social determinants. So we will, in the housing space, we will ask, you know, if they have heat, if they need better housing and things such as that, because we know, again, that if in fact a child continues to come into the emergency department with asthma, but we don't know whether they have mold or even if their cleaning skills are up to par, then they are going to continue to present. So it's not about just what happens in the clinical setting. 80% of all of our health outcomes are due to social and behavioral factors. So if indeed we're going to get it right, we need to ask about those 80% as opposed to just staying within that 20%. So we are, Newark Beth Israel is one of our pilot sites. I think Mr. Terry, he's very generous with allowing us to come into his facility and pilot a lot of these things, because so many individuals within Newark and within the South Ward can benefit from these sorts of things. So we are really excited to begin this work. And I'll stop there.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Deanna. Always glad to be with you. And as we're talking about the connection between health and housing, and really creating communities that are healthier for our residents, I know that your leadership is really critical to what we're trying to do, along with the leadership at RWJBarnabas, as well as Beth Israel Hospital. So thank you so much for what you're doing here in the city of Newark.
Thank you.
I'd like to turn to Cyree Morris. Cyree has been doing incredible work across our city. We've recently been talking about some work in the West Ward as well as now in the South Ward. And also he's got a pretty exciting development work that he's doing where he's currently using a vacant piece of land in the Central Ward for a drive-in movie theater, which is pretty darn cool if you ask me. So we're appreciative that you and your wife have such creative business ideas to figure out how do we handle things that give us enjoyment during a time in which COVID-19 has changed our realities. So, your creativity, your intuition, your ability to find solutions, whether it's housing related or otherwise, has been something that I've continued to be impressed by. So really glad to have you today to hear talk about the Springfield Lofts rental development project that you're working on in the South Ward. So please take some time and share with everyone about what you're doing here in the South Ward.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me today. Can everybody hear me good?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm sorry. Yeah, thanks for having me today. It's an honor to be here with NRBP and to speak with this great panel of hosts. But I look at myself as a vehicle for the initiatives that the city, Invest Newark, and all of the brain trusts have here. So, for example, I've met with Allison, the mayor, the administration, over the past few years about different development opportunities. And when they have initiatives, they come to people like myself and all of the others on the panel to actually put their plan, into tangible reality. So, for example, I was approached by the city to acquire some lots on the corner of South 10th and Springfield Avenue. Myself being a Newark native, growing up in the South Ward, did everything all of the local kids have done, got in trouble, got out of trouble, went to school, and came back home. It was an honor for me to be able to partner with the city on my project in particular. I had the architects, I wanted to say I apologize because I got some new renderings this morning. They didn't really look kind of good how I wanted them to really come out. So I'm not going to even show them. I was kind of mad at my architects, but I was trying to make it in big boasters, but I'm just going to speak about it. I'm acquiring 12 lots from the city of Newark, located at 521 Springfield Avenue, right across the streets from the Key Food. The project will consist of 2 residential buildings, affordable housing. All of my developments currently right now fall as affordable because we try to target anybody who falls within 80% of the area median income. And that's something that we worked with our partner in New Jersey Community Capital to kind of develop, and we try to make sure we transplant that model into all of our developments. The project consists of 64 units. It's 2 buildings, Building A and Building B. The first building, Building A, consists of 40 units, and the second building, Building B, consists of 24 units. What's unique, and I would say a little different in my developments and projects, is that we try to include a lot of 2s and 3-bedroom apartments into our portfolio. A lot of times I have architects who work for me, and they create a bunch of 1 and 2 bedroom apartments and stuff. And that's not really geared for the community, like particularly in the South Ward, where you're dealing with a lot of moms, dealing with a lot of dads, a lot of families with multiple kids. They need a lot of space. They need multiple bathrooms. They need multiple bedrooms. So on my Springfield Avenue project, I'm very proud to say that we have out of the 64 units, we have 23 bedrooms, which is almost like a third, which I think is something that's really unique and significant, and something that I'm willing to do. For example, when we dealing with development, us developers, we like units, we like numbers. We need more units. We need, we got to take that 64 and make it into 80 or 100 units. But somebody like myself, I try to focus on quality, and I try to provide, something that families can have and that's real tangible. Me being from the community and the son of Newark, it's very important for myself to produce something that we all can be proud of. In addition, we provide 33 parking spaces. The project is located on the Kent Brewer redevelopment area. And with the redevelopment zone, we have a little flexibility on the parking. Typically, we try to provide 64 parking stalls, but we try to promote a more transient environment. We try to promote riding bikes, walking, catching the bus, because we ride along the major bus path. And somebody like myself being very intimate in the city, I kind of can think of these things, and when we're developing, I'm just looking at the easiest way to service, my clients, which are the residents that frequent my buildings. Next up, one other thing too that was real important for the mayor, and I know Allison, I didn't get a chance to speak to you about this, was that we're looking at a rent-to-own option within the development. So for building B, which is the 24 units, there we plan with the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage and Finance Agency to figure out if we do get funded from them, how can we turn that development into something that can be owned by the residents, after a certain amount of years, once we pay, majority of the mortgage down and we're able to refinance them out. So, this is something that is near and dear to me. I'm with University High School, currently working with the principal there to try to get that situated a little better. But just view myself as a vehicle for the city of Newark. Like Allison said, whenever there's a problem, I love for them to give me a call, because I got a bunch of ideas in my head. And just like with the drive-in movie theater, the container housing, I'm always looking for different ways to make Newark better, to make Newark a place where people want to come. And as all of the residential development, MGM is doing a great job. RWJBarnabas, Beth Israel, everybody is doing their work. As we bring more people here, the people that come here need things to do, right? You can live here, right? But we got to provide entertainment. We got to grow out the restaurant base. And so this is why I don't really view myself as purely a developer. I look at myself as somebody who's a business person who's trying to provide a great experience so that we can change the perception, and we can grow the perception of Newark outside of our walls.
Thanks, Cyree. Always great to have you give the perspective from all different lenses. Someone who knows the cities, the history, and also is looking into the future. So really thank you for sharing what you're doing in the city. So I'd like to move to our final speaker for our panel today, and Lisa Garcia. Lisa, this project, JLF Senior Housing, is something that I've known since I think the first day I came to Newark. And you may not know that, but I feel very attached to JLF Senior Housing. And part of it is that this development needed some attention to make sure the financing, the complicated financing that it takes to do an affordable senior housing development in our city, in any city across the country. What does it take to make that happen? And it's just great to have you on the panel today to see where we're headed. I know that we're about to close, if we haven't closed yet. And so it's just moving forward to that next phase of construction. And, I'll give you a chance to share about this exciting project at JLF Senior Housing in the South Ward. And then I'll do a few closing remarks. And Barbara, perhaps there'll be a few minutes left over for questions for this wonderful panel. So Lisa, please share more about that exciting senior housing development in the South Ward.
Good morning, Allison, and everyone on the panel. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. I do really poorly with public speaking, but I'm really glad to be here and with you all. So my name is Lisa Garcia, and I am the operations manager for A&A Construction, and I have been working here in the city of Newark for about 18 years. We have always been private developers building 2- and 3-family houses for sale. And I would say over the past 8 years, we changed our business model and we switched over to affordable housing. And it was a great decision that we made. We have a site over in the North Ward, Riverside Arms, which is 128 units of 1-, 2-, and 3-bedroom family housing. And now we're really excited for our next project, which is JLF Senior Estates. It is a 50-unit senior housing project at 220 JLF Avenue. It's going to be 6 stories, state-of-the-art, a huge community room for our residents, exercise room. 13 of the 50 units are set aside for homeless veterans, which we're really excited about. We're partnering with the Newark Y to provide supportive services for the homeless vets that will be given these units. The building is 100% subsidized from the Newark Housing Authority, which is fantastic because they have a huge waiting list for 1-bedroom senior housing. So we're really excited to be able to provide this type of housing for our seniors. You know, it keeps them in the neighborhoods where they grew up, close to their children, close to their grandchildren. They're going to have just a beautiful, clean, healthy, state-of-the-art building to live in. And we just cannot wait to close and to get underway. We're working with New Jersey Mortgage Housing and Finance Agency. And this has just been, we've been working on this project now for about 6 years and just cannot wait to get the shovel in the ground and get our seniors in their permanent residence.
Thanks, Lisa. That was great. I really appreciate you being able to share some about this exciting senior affordable housing development, but also housing for our veterans. And I think that's another great place for us to give honor to our veterans. Tomorrow being Veterans Day, but every day, I think, is a day for us to honor people who have served. And so that's an exciting way for us to even end our set of presentations for today. I think for everyone who's viewing us in this exciting panel, let's think about a little bit of a recap here. So you heard about development that's under construction. So you saw visual pictures of things that are happening right on Clinton Avenue. You heard about planned development that's coming soon related to health and housing options. You heard about development that possibly could give rent to own, so home ownership opportunities for Newarkers, as well as housing for our seniors. And all of these types of development are critical for our city because we want everyone to have choice of where they live, places that are affordable, healthy housing options, but also community. A place for us to be part of whatever's happening with our neighbors, but also across the city. And so it's really great to be part of this panel discussion today because you get to see a spectrum of what's happening in our city. And if we did this in every ward, not a hint, Barbara or Chip, but if we did this for the other wards, I'm sure we would have very similar discussions, whether you're in the East Ward, the North Ward, West Ward, or even downtown in the Central Ward. And that's really a testament, I think, to Mayor Baraka, our City Council, and the leadership of those on this panel that's looking at how do we advance our city forward. But in closing, it takes public-private partnership. We don't do this alone. We all need each other. We're intricately related to one another, even as you heard from the various panelists today. But it's really what we're doing in the best interest of our city and our residents and how we do it together. So again, I'm really excited to be able to be part of this panel. Barbara, I'd love to give anyone who has a question an opportunity to ask them. Please, if you would let us know how we should handle that.
Hi, thank you, Allison. Everybody, that was really terrific. We do have a couple of questions from the audience. I first want to comment, Allison, though, that you're on to the other wards. We definitely will take you up on doing some things about what's happening in the other wards for sure. The second is for Lisa, just a comment that I don't know if you're familiar with Bunker Labs, but they are a relatively new company in the Newark Venture Partners, and they specifically are providing resources for veterans. So I can connect you to Bunker Labs in terms of another potential partnership that you might have. As far as, I'm sorry?
I said, please, thank you.
Great, good. The questions, there are a couple of people who would like to connect to speakers, and I'll do that separately if everybody's okay with that. One person wrote that they're viewing from St. Croix in the Virgin Islands. How can we get in contact with the panelists individually? So we've got a large audience today. And somebody else wrote, as a veteran, definitely reach out to the East Orange VA. Many veterans go there for services. Another one wants to collaborate. So media entity wanting to know about funds for advertising and promotion of this initiative. I guess that they're looking to provide that service. Is that something that you individually want to address in terms of what services you might need?
I think,
Sure. Barbara, go ahead, Lisa. Yes.
go ahead, Allison. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask if panelists wanted to answer the question. So please, Lisa, feel free.
Yeah, I think individually might be better, Barbara.
Okay, all right. And then there's another one. I'm looking to build market rate housing, walking distance to the hospital. Is there a resource in the hospital that helps employees look for housing? Maybe for Daryl. Oh, we're not hearing you, Daryl. That's better.
Okay. We have had conversations with other developers, and I'd be certainly welcome conversations to look at how we can make it available to our employees, perhaps some sort of incentive program or the like. So I'd be more than happy to speak to whomever.
Okay. All right. We'll make the connections. And then one more. Are there plans for schools in conjunction with creation of affordable housing?
Great question.
Oh, Barbara, that's a great question. So I would definitely reach out to, I'll follow up with Superintendent Roger Leone, as well as be able to find more information out about the connections between our schools and housing. But I also would give the panelists an opportunity if anyone knows of any special initiatives that the Board of Education or the superintendent is working on. I'm not familiar with anything at this moment, but maybe others may know of something. Does anyone else know of something you'd like to share? Please,
Yeah.
girl. Yes, Marjorie.
Marjorie, you go first.
So, okay. There's not going to be new schools built right now because right now the School Development Authority has no money to build any new schools. Charter schools may come on board, but they're looking at a long-term plan because COVID has kind of disrupted what's going to happen in terms of building out new schools and locations. So you probably, if anything's going to come online, it'll probably be in the year 2022.
Yes, and I would just like to say that, yes, I recently had some conversations with Roger about a very large development in the Central Ward that's right next to Harold Wilson School. And Roger advised me that the Newark Public Schools are working with developers like myself to see if we can time certain developments with the revitalization of existing schools or the creation of new schools. So Roger is definitely one who's active and is looking at doing things in conjunction with developers if it makes sense.
I have not validated this, but I do hear that at the the old Maple Avenue school that it's going to turn into a KIPP school, and it's coming online in 2021. I haven't validated that, but I have heard that that a new school is forthcoming.
And Barbara, I think it's a great question, whoever asked it, because I was trying to do a little bit of math while we were speaking today, and I think it's over or approximately 300 units that we're talking about that are either under construction or that are planned, just with the panelists today. And so some of it will be for families and some is for our seniors. And so there will be a balance that needs to be developed there for making sure that we have proper educational opportunities for our young people. So it's a great question. And so I'm glad that the person asked it.
Okay, thank you. I have one, perhaps Deanna and Daryl. You mentioned about the housing for people who are high users of the emergency department. And I wondered and this is not so much related to the housing, but more so to the care, to what degree are you working to transition those people from needing the emergency department to being able to seek their primary care and being able to address those issues, you know, on a scheduled basis as opposed to an emergency basis.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the goal, as Deanna indicated earlier. You know, 20% is related to one's health and what clinicians are capable of doing. The 80% is the social determinants of health. And so having secure housing is consistent with certainly better health and better health outcomes. That coordination would also include the coordination of their care. Obviously, that the emergency department and that sporadic fragmented care is not ideal. And so having them in a sort of a captive audience, if you will, we will be able to help coordinate their healthcare activities and do case management type activities to improve the health of the residents.
And Barbara, I would just add, I know that it's been the Health and Housing Initiative by the governor, lieutenant governor, and the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency has been a tremendous investment that they're making in our city of Newark. They're working not only with RWJBarnabas, but they're also working with University Hospital. And so we're just delighted that there are two developments that are being supported by our state in a financial way to help ensure that we have these affordable housing options that are quality, healthy, but also in two different parts of our city. So I do think that this is a great initiative, and we're seeing that nationally. So it's great to see it in New Jersey and here in Newark.
And just if I can add, not that while we are seeing it nationally, housing and healthcare, New Jersey is the first state that has actually put money into it from a housing and mortgage finance agency. I think just to give kudos to Chuck Richmond for really thinking outside the box and kind of the state putting, you know, their money where their mouth is to move this effort forward. So kudos to them as a state.
Great. I was really interested in the discussion, a little bit of discussion about providing the rent-to-own and also some home ownership, because that seems to be something where there isn't a whole lot of that availability. And I wanted to hear more about all of your thoughts on how what incentives can be put in place to be able to stimulate home ownership.
Yeah, so the rent to own concept, you know, honestly came, you know, from a meeting I had with several members of the administration where it was important for the original Newarkers who've been here all of this time to be able to stay here, you know, once Newark, you know, as Newark, you know, comes back to resurgence to the prominent city it is. So, and just in that, you know, I was just trying to be creative and thinking about the different families, the moms, the dads, who remained here during the rough times to be able to have an equitable stake. So, you know, I thought about, you know, like partnerships where I give everybody in the building, you know, a piece of the ownership structure up front, but it didn't work out. So then I went to the second iteration, was like, all right, well, if we get people here who, you know, who has decent credit, who has, you know, working, you know, they might be below income, and they may be low income, but how can we transition them into some type of home ownership so that, you know, once, you know, the development is fully up and running, they'll be able to have some equity, you know, and hopefully change their lives. So that's kind of where the rent to own ownership piece came in. It's more of a holistic approach. I didn't want to just make a development where I was just solely the owner and I would benefit everything. You know, I kind of wanted to spread the wealth, and just in that mindset and that holistic view was a way in which I can actually give back and create my developments and make them even more.
I really commend you on that. I know, I mean, it's been 15, maybe 20 years since I was at DCA, and back then there was Section 8 to home ownership, and I'm not really sure what became of that or whether even nationally it's still a model, but I think we need to revisit initiatives like that because we know it can really move people forward as far as wealth building. in our New Jersey Community Capital, out of our 100 units, we don't have a huge number where we offer home ownership, but we do have a few, and I'm hoping that as we continue to do affordable housing, that we can kind of grow that base. So thank you for that.
I would just like to add that speaking on the Section 8 to homeownership, Invest Newark in partnership with Newark Housing Authority and NACA, we actually have started a Section 8 to homeownership pilot program where we're taking 3 city-owned properties, renovating them, and with Newark Housing Authority doing a lottery for Section 8 recipients who are qualified now, to convert their voucher into home ownership. So three Newark Housing residents will actually be, new owners of homes by the end of this year.
And Barbara, I just wanted to share for those that might be viewing that are interested in purchasing their home today. We at the city have a program called Live Newark, and Live Newark provides a $5,000 grant to homeowners, those that want to purchase a house in Newark today. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out to the city of Newark, and we'll connect you to the program manager and provide you with the way to apply for that program.
Wonderful. Well, we're nearing the end of our program. I'm going to turn to Chip Halleck for closing comments and express my great thanks to Allison and Daryl and all of you who have contributed so greatly. Chip, it's all yours.
Thanks, Barbara, and thank you. I think it was a very, very informative hour that we spent. It went very quickly, and there was a lot to take in. I mean, just as I go through different things, certainly strike you, and starting with Lisa and talking about homeless veterans, especially with Veterans Day coming up. It's a timely topic to be talking about, and providing those supportive services and keeping families closer. I mean, that's such a great need to be addressing. So congratulations on the project that you're working on there. Cyree, listening to you and the thoughtfulness about making sure that there are apartments big enough to accommodate families, so that families can be comfortable in a place they can call home, and those 2 and 3 bedroom apartments really so meaningful to people and families, to keep them together and keep them in Newark. So that was great to hear about. Deanna, the system has such a great reputation for addressing the social determinants of health, and just you reminding us about how 80% the social and behavioral factors that impact health, 80% of those are those social and behavioral factors, and that affects people's health in such a big way. And the developments that the system is helping to come up with there that will keep people engaged in their healthcare providers and provide a great place for them to live is really so important. Listening to Roger and Marge talk about 505 Clinton Avenue, and I know how long that has been in the works. And Roger, as I was listening to you, you talked about it not being for so long being something that was an eyesore. Well, it's moving from eyesore to icon for the Clinton Hill neighborhood, and that too is something to see. And I know also how important that is to the mayor, that particular project, and providing the artist housing. And it's always a pleasure. Barbara talked a little bit about Marge being a leader for NRBP, and when you think about Marge's journey as a Black woman in construction, you have to hats off to or hard hats off to Marge for all that she does. And she is a bona fide construction leader in her own right, and it's great to have her working in the city and her support and for all the projects that she's been involved in. And Allison, thank you for recognizing NRBP as partners. The thought of for a long time when we didn't have to socially distance, we had what we called a series of Connect to Newark tours, and we would take people in a couple small minibuses and go out and look at the different wards. So we have to do that virtually, but we're certainly happy to continue on that journey with you in the city. And finally, Daryl, you know, you're talking about, as Marge did, you know, growing up in Newark and being in Newark, that pride shows through. And that's what makes you such a convincing and powerful leader, is to get people motivated to follow you, and the example that you and the Barnabas system set for others to follow is really a sight to behold. So we thank you, and best wishes and safety to you and your team as this pandemic continues to wreak havoc on our community. So with that, we'll let you all get back to work and keep doing the great things that you're doing. We thank our audience for joining us today. We look forward to having you join us again soon and hearing more about the great progress that Newark is making every day. So thank you all for being with us today. Take care. Have a great day. Thank you.